They found out some information about my wife. By the time we got on the Zoom call, they created that personal connection. So yes, I have money that I want to invest, but do you know me? Do you know what makes me tick?
This is the Business of Advice podcast, where we help good advisors become great business owners. Welcome to a special behind-the-scenes edition of our Business of Advice podcast. We're actually here live in Orlando at our World Series of Success event. We have Simon Bailey. We're happy and excited to have him here. He's going to be presenting to all of our advisors, but we were able to steal a little time to just have him come join us for the podcast. We've done a few of these now at our live events. A lot of you probably recognize Simon. If not, let me give you just a little bit of his background. Entrepreneur, executive coach, and author. Some of his books that you should read if you haven't read is Shift Your Brilliance, Be the Spark, and Release Your Brilliance. Simon spent more than 30 years in the hospitality industry, and a lot of what he's going to be talking to our team about here is the client experience. He was the sales director for the Disney Institute, and even working with MCA as a consultant, he crossed paths with the Ritz-Carlton and had the opportunity to teach at the Ritz-Carlton Learning Institute also. So Simon, thank you for being here, and thank you for joining me for the podcast.
Thank you for having me. So good to be here.
Why don't we jump in? So a lot of what we're talking about is this customer experience, and when people think of the great organizations, obviously Disney and Ritz-Carlton are two of the top, and you've had some experience with both of those. What do those two companies get so right about the experience?
They hire for attitude and they train for success. Training doesn't fix what HR and management doesn't catch. So they're very intentional about hiring people that have that right mindset. Because think about it, in the hospitality industry, the turnover is 100%. Yeah. At Disney, it's 20%.
It's crazy.
Because they hire right.
Yeah.
And Ritz-Carlton, same thing. Ritz-Carlton calls it they select. So they want to select people with the right attitude.
Is there anything specifically that you've seen that they're looking for in that attitude?
Yeah, so I think number one, they look for people, they'll throw out something, they'll say, tell me about your last job. When you dealt with a problem, what did you do? What they're looking for, if that person has what Marie Forleo calls figure out ability. Do they have that opportunity to say, you know what, I'm not just gonna do what I'm hired to do, I'm gonna go the extra step. The second thing is, are they willing to work beyond a job? So many people work a job, but they want people who say, you know what, I'm gonna be an intrapreneur. I'm gonna help the business grow and become better. And then the third thing is, the company transfers psychological ownership to them. So every employee, or at Disney, they call them cast members, feel like, hey, I own the guest experience. I don't need management to tap me on the shoulder. I'm gonna take care of this guest because I own it.
Are there things in the actual training side then that you've seen them do really well, those two companies?
Oh yeah, Disney University is where you sniff the pixie dust, right? Yeah. So one of the things, they're really big on storytelling. So they share with you stories of why, how, and what. And it's right there at Disney University. At Ritz-Carlton, when they teach the 12 basics, embedded in those principles is every shift in Ritz-Carltons around the world, they tell stories. What do we do right by the guests? What do we learn? If we have to recover, how do we do it better? And it's just embedded in the culture.
That's cool. Yeah, I say Disney, it's incredible. You know, we have people who came down early and some of them were texting me, and I'm like, Disney's convinced people it's the happiest place on earth when you're standing in these long lines, sweating, giving them all the money you possibly can, and you think you're at the happiest place in the world. So
capitalism, capitalism at its best.
You know you're getting it right when you do that. You know, you wrote a book called Be the Spark, and you talk about the 5 platinum service principles for creating customers for life. And I've told people it's like a master's course in customer service. But when, I'll ask you to share this, like as an advisor, as they're trying to create an outstanding experience for their clients each day, what are some of the keys to understanding and implementing those 5 kind of platinum service principles?
Yeah, so real time, I'm talking to a financial advisor right now, interviewing them. Yeah. They have been referred to me by a dear friend of mine. And the first thing that they did is they went and researched my website. So they knew exactly what I was all about. They found out some information about my wife. By the time we got on the Zoom call, they created that personal connection. So yes, I have money that I want to invest, but do you know me? Do you know what makes me tick? They signed up for my newsletter. And so I would say to all the advisors listening to us, what's that personal factoid that you know about them? We just had our first grandchild, that's a month old. So we were just on a call with them the other day. They said, how's Halo? Okay, that's important.
Good.
Just that little detail, right? Halo is 4 weeks old, our first grandchild. So make it personal, make it humanize, connect with them. That's where you should really start, because everything that's happened in the world, people want to know, do you see me? Do you get me? Or am I just another dollar sign in front of you?
Well, I think one of the things you said there, that it's, I don't want to say easier than it's ever been, but with the internet and so much information out there, right? If you're not out Googling and searching, someone that you're bringing in, you can learn so much from them.
Totally,
doing that. So
totally.
Just great example of them doing that well. One of the concepts you talk about in the book is customer love. And maybe tell the audience what you mean by customer love and how that can make a big impact on the client experience.
Customer love is looking for that opportunity to understand what makes them tick. What's their hot buttons? What does success look like to them? What type of language do they use when they talk to you? So when you converse with them, the love and the care that they feel heard, they feel valued, and they know that you get them at the core, because you're communicating with them in such a way that they know that you went from talking to listening. So listen with your ears, like at a deep level.
And are there any specific things, like you use an advisor, that you would have them listening for?
Sure. So I have another advisor. So
Okay.
all my friends say you need at least 2 advisors. So I have an advisor that I've been with for a while. And what I really appreciate about Ann, whenever she talks to me, she says, let's just take a time out. How's your business doing? And we just go there. And I'm like, okay, Ann, here's where things are. And she says, do you need me to introduce you to anyone? So she's just not there to invest more in mutual funds or stocks or whatever we're working on. She's like, how do I help you grow? Because she understands if I'm growing, I got more money to invest with her, right? And so it's just that being dialed into what's my hot button.
Yeah, being able to add value to you also. One of the other things that we talk all the time about, especially as an advisor, being able to keep your clients post-sale is really, really important. And I think a lot of advisors have gotten better at this, but a lot of times they're so focused on that upfront transaction, bringing them on, and then kind of lose them. But you spend a lot of time thinking or speaking through like that post-sale experience. Why is that so important? Maybe that's an obvious, answer, but then what are some of the tricks to doing that well and keeping those clients for life?
So I'll give you an example. I was talking with a CEO in Seattle, Washington, 100-year-old real estate firm, 3,000 associates that work with him. And he said, Simon, we discovered that 40% of our new business came from people that we already had done business with and had reached out to in a 90-day frame. They would send us leads, because obviously in the real estate world, MS leads, that's what they need. And he says, we just reached out to them and we stayed in contact. So the post-sale, critically important. So I think number one, what's the first anniversary date when they first started working with you? What if they got a call, a text, or a video from you? Say, guess what? On this particular date, this is the commencement of our relationship. You reach back out to them. Birthdays, children, life events, you connect with them. You see an article in the newspaper that relates to their business, email it to them. Hey, I just saw this. I was thinking about you. That's how you stay top of mind. But here's the other thing. When you send cards out during Christmas, New Year's, those are the suspect. Even Mother's Day. Go off holiday, 4th of July, Labor Day. Nobody does anything for their clients. Come up with something to create another touch point, because all of a sudden they're like, whoa, you're thinking about me and you're not asking for business. All of a sudden what you realize is they were referring you to their friends because you're top of mind.
Well, it's funny, we're recording this not too long after Christmas, I guess, but some of the cards I got from these businesses, I'm like, why would you even waste your time on that? I barely looked at it and just threw it away. So there's a great discussion in the book about when the experience fails, you have to jump into customer recovery.
Yes.
Obviously you would like to avoid that, but when you have to do that, what are some of the steps that you take there?
First thing is empathy. Number one skill being taught in Silicon Valley right now is empathizing with customers. So walking a mile in their shoes to say, you know what, I understand, we messed up. How do we fix this? What does success look like in your eyes? And all of a sudden you're building a bridge from where they are to where you are to say, how do we move forward? That's the first thing. The second thing is guest recovery becomes a teaching moment. It teaches the organization, the team, everyone, what do we learn from this failure? And then the third thing is that customer says, whoa, you took the time to own what just happened. I trust you even more. So it's all about trust.
That's good. You know, on that point of using those as teaching moments, is there a way as maybe the leader of the organization to do that well, to where your team doesn't feel like they're being criticized, but that it really is an opportunity to get better?
So the first thing is start with telling them what they did right, because that's the recognition piece. And then say, hey, here's an opportunity, never a problem. Here's an opportunity on how to improve this even more. Secondly, invite them into, so what did you see? What did you think of that experience? Now you're inviting them to say, I thought about this, I thought about that, and then you insert, well, what about this? And you ask in the form of a question, because asking a question draws them out to say, whoa, I never thought about. And then if they're engaging, they'll say, well, what could we have done better? And that's what you want. So as the leader, you want to say, here's some things to consider in the future. It becomes that teaching moment that they're like, whoa, I just learned how to be better.
That's good. One of the maybe final questions, and I want to jump into these lightning round questions I like to ask everyone, but you know, what COVID I think taught a lot of our advisors is the value in that long-term relationship, right? A lot of them, some of their marketing funnels that they traditionally use, maybe live events, got kind of shut down. So they really went back into their existing clients, maybe prospects that they had met with in the past, and were able to generate a lot of new opportunities, right? That they'd maybe passed up, which I think many of them are starting to realize that long-term value of those relationships. Are there any, just maybe a couple key points that you think are critical to maintaining a long-term client relationship?
I think what is old is new again. I'm big on handwritten notes.
Yeah.
I know that's old school, but handwritten notes, good stationery, personal stamp, shows intention. But new school would say a video email that is sent to them or comes to their phone where you took the time to say, hey, thinking about you, saw this, wanted to let you know something. That goes a long way. So it's finding that way to connect early and often.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that as things have become maybe less personalized, that the more personalized you can make it.
Yes, because
really
nobody does it.
It's crazy.
It's wide open.
The handwritten notes, I think, are just a great opportunity. So, okay, I know we've got to get you on stage, so let me ask you just a couple lightning round questions. These can be quick answers. What lesson over the past 2 years have you learned that you think you'll carry forward for the rest of your career or your life?
Never stop working. Even in the midst of changing pandemic, stay the course. Because it's so easy to say, well, I'm working from home. Don't slack off. Do the work.
Yep, that's great. Is there anything you're doing this year, as we're into a new year, that you're excited about to drive your own personal growth?
Oh, wow. So I am. I have logged on to dictionary.com and I get a word of the day. So the word of today is kinesthetic, which is an adjective, which means to move forward. So each day I'm trying to learn a new word, and they have a little button that you hit and it'll tell you how to pronounce the word, how to use it in a sentence. So yeah, it's just something I'm just trying to grow, every day. Yeah.
I've not heard that one before. That's good. Okay, outside of one of your books, is there a book that you have recommended most often to other entrepreneurs or business leaders?
The book that I tell everybody to get and get the audio version and book version is the book, When I Stop Talking, You'll Know I'm Dead. It's by Jerry Weintraub. He was the agent of record for Brad Pitt, George Clooney, Frank Sinatra, John Denver. And you need to have tissue and then get ready to laugh, because he tells these hilarious stories of just how did you work Hollywood back in the day. He has since passed, but I love this book, and I tell entrepreneurs because this guy started from ground zero, and he tells you what he did to get close to customers. He used to represent Elvis as well, and he's telling these stories. He's like, are you kidding me? So When I Stop Talking, You'll Know I'm Dead. And he also was the guy that created Oceans 11 and 12, the movie.
I've read that book. It's an incredible book.
Isn't it a great book?
I've not had anyone mention that book, but that's an incredible one.
Yeah.
Okay, final question. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
My mentor just said this to me the other day. He said, you can want change, but do you want to change? And emphasis on do you want to change. Everybody wants to change, but do you want to? He said it's in the want to change that is the other side of the breakthrough. And I was like, wow.
That's good.
Yeah.
Simon, I appreciate you being here with us.
Thank you.
Where can people connect with you online after they hear this podcast?
SimonTBailey.com.
Okay, the easiest place to get it.
Yes.
So appreciate you being here.
Thank
my
you so
friend.
much.
Thank you.